Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining me here, and really excited today because I get to talk to you about probably the absolute most important fundamental thing about marketing, and this is the base to everything else you are going to do. This is really where we talk about the market that you are going after, and needed a little catchiness there, so I called it graphic content. So who's excited? Who's excited for today's training? I can't hear you, but let me hear you through your computer screens. So I know I'm excited, really excited about this. And this was really the big thing that I was taught by, a guru out there, someone that's what I call a faraway mentor, that just really changed my perspective of marketing and really got me the base to get it going, so to speak. So that's what I want to share with you today. And excuse me. And that's what I want to share with you today. Is the graphic content, and that is the 3 keys to knowing your target customer. And the most exciting part about this, guys, is once you get this information down, once you practice this, develop it as your own, and you just do it all the time, you are going to already have a head start on about 98% of your competition. And you'll see why at the, really probably about halfway through, you'll see why that is. But at the end, you're going to really see why that is. And that's why it's just really exciting for me to share this with you. So let's go over the graphic content. And what I'm referring to is the 3 keys to knowing your target customer, because that's what it's all about. We need to target our customer. And if you just are throwing just a bunch of stuff, junk at the wall and hoping some of it sticks, the only way that ever works is volume. And the only way volume is ever possible in the business world, I don't care what business it is, especially in the insurance business, is spending a lot of money. So what I'm trying to accomplish here for you is the more we can get your target customer down, the more we can narrow that, funnel it through, the less money you're going to have to spend to really get your message out there and get the sales in. Okay, so that's what we're focusing on today, and that's why it's exciting. So let's look at the actual graphic. What do I mean by graphic? So first, as we all know, we are going to look at, get this, demographic, right? So we got your demographic. Everybody knows what that is. And then I want to, hopefully maybe introduce you to 2 more things, which is psychographic, and we're looking at psychic graphic. Now, don't worry, I'm going to explain what each of those are, but I want you to, if you're not taking notes, you need to take notes on this stuff. You can always go back and watch this, at your convenience, but that's the 3 key things that we're going to focus on here under the graphic content portion. So demographic, psychographic, and psychic graphic. Now, first and foremost, I need to give credit where credit's due, because that's something I believe in. I did not develop these by any stretch of the imagination. I actually learned this principle from a huge direct response, direct mail guru, Dan Kennedy, who is awesome. If you never really looked at Dan Kennedy's stuff, it's something you want to definitely take a look at. It is more general. It doesn't really specify, a particular business, but it's really great stuff. And he's kind of the guru when it comes to direct mail, direct response. So I want to always give credit where credit's due there. So let's start going through this stuff. Demographic, we all know what that is. That's something that you were taught back in high school, I would assume. Your demographic stuff is going to be more, I call it on paper. All right, so if you got somebody's driver's license in front of you, you can pretty much get a lot of demographics off of that. Demographics are important, so I don't want to tell you guys not to pay attention to demographic, because that's really the first part of what you want to do. So that's going to be your age, gender, zip code. That is what every insurance agency, if you know nothing in the game, that's what you're going to base really your marketing off of. And that's where most agents start. Unfortunately, as we'll go along here, it's where a lot of them finish. The other thing, too, is most of your larger companies, okay, your big company branding and advertising, so the stuff you see on TV, a lot of what you see mail-wise, direct mail-wise from big, large corporations, they're going to be based off demographic because the large corporations, don't forget, they have the money to throw as much at the wall as possible and just see what sticks. As a small business owner, you don't have that luxury. I don't have that luxury. So that's why demographic just is not enough for us to really utilize our funds properly and get the return on investment that we're looking for. If you go a little deeper in the demographic, which you can, which helps, and you remember the deeper you go, the more we're going down into, I like to picture it as a funnel. Okay, so you got the top of the funnel is your basic demographic, and as we go more down towards this stuff, we are going to look further and further, narrow and narrower down the funnel. So the narrower and narrower we can get, and whatever comes out at the end of that funnel is going to give us the best return on investment. Okay, and it's going to get our target market narrowed down to the point where we know we're specifically going after them and they're going to want to buy from us. Now, the biggest obstacle, and this is the number one thing I'm going to warn you, and you're going to hear me keep warning you over and over again, is work and time and patience is all part of this. Because the main thing to do, especially if you get a good idea, is you want to run with it right away. Because when you need sales right now, and you always need them. But taking the time to go through all of this is key, because if you don't do that, you're still just going to be back to throwing stuff at the wall. So anyway, going deeper, I won't read them all, but you see what you can kind of go into a little, married on rent credit. You can go a little deeper into the demographic, and even a little bit more so. Family size, income, and digging the mine, which we'll talk a little bit more about that. But so demographic, you can get a little funneled. Okay, you can go a little bit past that age, gender, zip code type stuff, but it's all still demographic. Okay, and the crazy part is it's 95%, probably more, to be honest with you. 95 at least of agents stop here. They don't even go past this point. Demographic is good enough for them, and that's no matter what they're doing, whether they're telemarketing, buying internet leads, online advertising, website. I don't care what it is. They're stopping here at demographic. So that's why I don't want you guys to do that. I need you guys to go further than that. And that's what we're going to learn about next. Okay, so next we're going to get into what I call is called the psychographic. Okay, the psychographic. So what you're really doing is you're getting outside their physical presence, and what that means is you're getting into what do they like, what don't they like, what kind of things do they do. So that can be anything from interests, hobbies, political views. It doesn't have to stop at that, but you kind of get what I'm saying. The biggest part to this, and I really should have it number one, I have it two here, is their lifestyle. Okay, blue collar, white collar, affluent, non-affluent, and all that affluent, non-affluent is, if you don't know, it's whether they have money or not, and I mean lots of money. So that's all that means. But lifestyle in general, like what do they do? Like how do they live? What hobbies do they have? If you have a product and you're trying to sell it to, let's say you're a gun owner. Okay, and you have this new rifle it's a hunting rifle. Which list do you want? Do you want me to give you a list of everybody in your zip code that's old enough to buy a gun? Or do you want me to give you everybody on a list in your zip code that is old enough to buy a gun, owns other guns currently, and is probably going to go hunt this year because they've hunted for the past 10 to 15 years? Which list do you want? Okay, that's what this is all about. It's forming that specific list so you can go after the right people. It's one thing to put a Facebook ad to everybody in your zip code saying, hey, I got a new gun to sell, and everybody's clicking on it just because they want to see this gun. Or you can put a Facebook ad saying, hey, I got a gun to sell, and that Facebook ad is only being shown to people who have hunted in the past 2 years. So we'll go through that a little bit too. So that's what I mean by lifestyle, is what are they doing? What are their hobbies? Where are they hanging out at? And we'll go through that. Like I said, we'll go through that a little bit more as well. And then also, how do they do business? How do they buy? That's important anymore in a lifestyle, because it depends on your book of business, on where you want to go. Do you want older clientele? Do you have older clientele? Do they like to pay cash, check? Do they want to come in, meet with you, talk to you over the phone? Or is the business that you want in, or you have, are they somebody that likes to do online or offline? Or online, I'm sorry. So are they somebody that likes to go online and do everything over the phone, everything on the internet, credit cards, reoccurring, whatever it might be? And I want to stop there for a second, because That is, I'm not telling you a secret, that's where everything's going now. And this has to match. I can't tell you how important this is, whether you're getting new sales or it's your current business. You have to match these two things. Okay, if you have a book of business right now with the average age of 65 to 70, and you are trying to push them to be online credit cards and give you your emails so you can contact through them, it's not going to work. You know that. Okay, so you have two options. One, you can just accept the fact that you have to do business with those people the way they want to do business, or when you're selling new prospects, you have to know what kind of new prospects you want. It's okay to, the whole point of this target market is I don't want you guys to go out and if I ask you, who do you want to sell to? Your answer, it cannot be anybody with a pulse and a wallet. Okay, that cannot be your answer. Your answer needs to be very specific. So what I did, one of the book of businesses I bought, it was a very old clientele. So we serviced them how they wanted to be serviced. All right, in person, over the phone, checks, cash, whatever. The new clientele that we put in, though, I knew what I wanted. I wanted the people that do business online. It's much more efficient. It's much more effective. I wanted emails. That's what I wanted for contact. I wanted people to pay electronically, credit card, reoccurring. So our new business was all geared towards that. So it's okay to have a specific clientele that you guys want to do business with, and that's who you have to target. We're going to talk a little bit more about doing business with the people you want to do business with. And it is a competitive industry, but really, one thing you'll hear me say a lot, if you are not specifically for any one person, then you're specifically for nobody. Okay, and that's okay. You're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. You know that already. That's not going to be a secret, I'm assuming. So you might as well go after the people you like, that you want to do business, not that you like, but you want to do business with. Okay, so this is a very important part to whether your service, sales, whatever you're doing, you have to recognize the target and how do they want to do business or buy. So I want you to think about that a little bit. I want you to take notes and really, if you're jotting stuff down right now, I want you to do two things. I want you to tell me if you have a current business. I want you to do two things. Who is your clientele? What do they consist of, age-wise, and how they do business and what you've seen? And then who do you want to be your future clientele? Okay, and you need to define those two things, because if you're just going the same old, and you hate the way that your current clientele is doing business, the only way you're ever going to change that is making this decision to change it. That's it. So if you have a clientele's average age of 65 and you decide that you're not going to change the way you do things, but you hate doing it that way, it's not going to change. Does that make sense, guys? You getting this? So it's really important. So I want you guys to really focus on that. And it's once again, it's okay. I give you, not that you need my permission, but I give you permission to be picky about who you're doing business with. All right. So let's go to the next one. The next one, it's really my favorite because I'm a psychological guy. It's the psychographic information. Now, a lot of you probably already know some of this and just don't realize you know it. So let's get into their heads a little bit. There's a question that we all know about. What keeps them awake at night? I'm sure in some form of business training, sales training, insurance training, you've seen this question. And that's a definite psychographic question, without a doubt. What keeps them awake at night? And you might think with insurance, it's like, well, nothing keeps them awake at night. But maybe they're not specifically thinking about insurance. What are they thinking? What if they got a teenage driver? Okay, and that driver is, they're going out, a little bit later at night, and maybe they come home late every now and then. Or it's not even at night. Maybe it's, letting them have a little freedom with the car, and they're worried. As a parent, I know I get worried about stuff like that. So that might be the stuff that keeps them awake at night. It's not necessarily, oh, my insurance premium's high, so I'm not going to get to sleep tonight. But it's, what is son or daughter doing when they have the car by themselves? How many people are they letting in the car? Hope they're not drinking and driving, partying, etc., etc. And there's a lot of different things. When you really sit and think about this question, you got to think of it from that perspective. You can't just say, well, what about insurance keeps them up at night? No, it's anything. Life insurance is huge. What happens to my family? Can they pay the bills if something happens to me? The client is not thinking, bam, life insurance at that point. They're thinking in their terms of their actual livelihood. So that's what you got to get into with the psychographic information. Okay, and so what I want you guys to do is each product that you sell, a great exercise for you or a staff member is write down auto insurance, home insurance, life insurance, whatever commercial insurance, and what different aspects of those insurance could keep an insured up at night. Okay, so for car insurance, we talked about teenagers. Life insurance, we talked about that. What about home insurance? Okay, house fires, they happen. Burglaries, they happen. That's more of what the insured is going to focus on. They're not worried about their insurance per se, but it all comes back to that. So, that's a great question that you guys should really be focusing on. Make sense? All right. Next, biggest issue in their life that you can solve. So this is more insurance focused. So that's what I mean. Biggest issue insurance-wise in their life that you can solve. And we always focus on price. Price is important, don't get me wrong. In today's economic unstable environment, people are always looking to save money. So I don't want to say price is not important. However, a lot of people, believe it or not, it's not as important as you think. Coverage is important, and so that's where a lot of their situation comes into play. So really the best way to be prepared for this question is each one of you has probably products that have great pricing. So figure out those products. Each one of you have certain coverages that you can get at a great value compared to other companies. So go ahead and figure that out. So what's the biggest issue that you can solve for a client when it comes to your type of business insurance? And then last but not least here is more of a competitive strategy. What are all the reasons they can be unhappy with their current carrier? Now, price is going to come up here a lot, but service experiences, we all know how important those are. If there's a reason that something didn't get done in a timely manner, if something didn't get processed at all, if there was just a rude tone, a rude attitude, first thing you guys want to do is make sure that you and your staff are not committing any of those because you don't want your own customers unhappy. Second of all, you want to pinpoint those items when you're marketing to these people. You want to let them know, outside of price, that you're always greeted with a 100% friendly attitude. We're always efficient. We always get stuff done. Whatever it might be, we'll talk about how to kind of market that and promote it. But you got to think of all the reasons they're unhappy with their current carrier, not just because of the price. Remember, a lot of people will call you and shop because of the price, but it's so much more than that. And I'm not going to harp on it anymore because I think I've harped on it enough. But you guys get what I'm saying, right? Like it's price is very important, but there's so many other things. Unfortunately, what's happened is we got a lot of the TV commercials out there and media saying how important price is, that the insurance industry, especially your direct competitors like your Geico and Progressive, what they have done is they've made insurance all about price and not about coverage at all. And that's really hurting the consumer in the end because, the point of our business in insurance, none of us probably got into it because of all the excitement. It's more because we do at the end of the day like helping people. So we don't want to make it all about price. We want to make it about quality. Okay, so psychographic information is so important because of that. This is really hitting somebody's, you're tugging at their brain, you're tugging at their heart, and you're trying to say, I can help you with these issues, and I can help you in at least the way I know how, which is protecting you and your family. You know what I mean? All right. Does that make sense, guys? All right. Let's keep moving here. And lastly, how can you make their life easier? How can you make this easy for them? Okay, so insurance, we do this every single day, don't we? We know in and outs, and we do it every single day. But the normal consumer does not want anything to do with this. They care about these reasons above. They really do. But they don't want to be hassled with it. They don't want to be bothered with it. So really get into the mind of the consumer. Think of something you hate to do. Okay, like for me, for instance, I am not a mechanical guy at all. I know nothing about my car. All I know is I want my car to work. I know how to put gas in it. I know how to put antifreeze in it, and that's about it. I want my car to work. I want to have no issues with any part of it. If it's broken, all I want to know is I want to take it to your shop. I want it fixed, and I want it back the way I got it, and whatever was wrong with it fixed. That's it. I don't want to be bothered with anything else. You have to think of something in your life that is a pain in the butt for you that you don't want to mess with. Now, picture your consumer thinking the same way about your business. So how can you make it easier for them? If something is a 3 to 4 step process, but you can take 3 steps away, but you don't want to do it just because it takes time away from you, think twice about that, because the easier you can make something, people are going to pay for that. They'll pay higher premiums. Okay, and we all know we can't rely on good prices forever. So if you got a good price on your product right now, that's awesome, and you need to capitalize on it, but it's not going to be there forever. We know that prices go up. I don't care what company you're with. And if you can show them value to your agency, whether it's, making it easier, getting the service done right, whatever it might be, and we'll go through more of that, they're going to stay with you through the hard times. And that's the biggest key to this. So always keep that in mind. How can you make this easier for them, the client, the buying process, service, whatever it might be? In this case, we want to talk about the buying process. How can you make it easier for them? And there's a lot of great ideas that come along with that. So let's real quick, I just want to recap the graphic content. So we got our demographic, psychographic, and psychographic. And don't stop at the demographics like most agents do. I can't harp on that enough. You guys get that? I hope you got that at this point. If you have been just half listening to this and you haven't been taking notes, you haven't done anything else, I need you to pay attention now. Come back to this real quick. If you don't get anything out of what I just said, don't stop at demographics like most agents do. If you get that 1 point, you're going to be way ahead of most people, okay? And then for the rest of you that have been paying attention, take the time. Like I said, you've got to take the time to know your market. You have to do that. It's easy to say, oh, I want to get going, I want to get sales, but you got to take the time, because trust me, in the end, it's a big payoff. And then last but not least, the one thing that is so important to all of this stuff is you have to make all this information known to your staff. They need to know what the whole point of this is. I made this mistake, actually. When I first started really getting into this, I was letting my staff service and sell and do their thing the way they always have been, but I didn't really let them know my new initiative because I wasn't confident about it. So I didn't tell them. Right? So they were still selling and doing their process to the type of prospect I didn't want. And it didn't really hit me until I notified them of, hey guys, this is what I really want to do. And they all were on board with it, because guess what? Your staff probably wants to do business the way you want to also. Your staff should be an extension of you. If not, you need new staff. Plain and simple. I hate to say that, but most of you guys probably have staff that's an extension of you anyway. So that being the case, they should be on board with this. So you got to kind of let them know this stuff. Let them watch this. Let them go through it all. Let them read your notes and the printouts of this. And, I think you'll find real solid value in it. So that's all the graphic information. So we're talking about target marketing. All right. You guys good so far? All right. So that's your demographic, psychographic, psychographic. Let's move on to what I call the M3. That's the matching message to market. Okay, so a lot of that is 3 things. What are you selling? Who do you want to focus on? And connecting the what and the who to equal the perfect message. And so what this is going to be, this is more targeting. Okay, once again, it's going to really pay off in the end to take the time to actually look and see through this. And really, the whole point of this, guys, and I'll show it in a little bit here, but I'm gonna jump ahead. The whole point is I want you guys to develop a marketing campaign, and I want you to develop a real marketing campaign. If you have developed marketing campaigns in the past and developing that campaign has taken you less than a day, you have not developed a effective, efficient marketing campaign. At the end of all this, and I'm going to cut a lot of the work out so you will be able to do this in less than a day, but once we go through all of this, you take your notes and you're writing them as we go about how this can fit and relate into your business. You're going to be able to develop a marketing campaign that's going to be able to work for you over and over and over again. And once you really, here's the cool part about this, all right? I want you to listen to this. If you develop even one good, complete marketing campaign from start to finish, which is what my goal is here, just one, you can use that same campaign for anything. And you just got to tweak things. So that's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to really spend time on this one campaign that we're going to create for you. And then forever and ever, you can just mix, match, tweak, and do whatever you have to do to create new campaigns. It's that simple, right, guys? So I really encourage you to do that, and we're gonna start by the what are you selling? And obviously the answer is insurance. But I want you to go further than that. What are you selling? Each marketing campaign has to have one focus. And what I mean by that is one specific line of insurance, or if you're an investment, I know we got some investment people on here too. I don't want you to think I forgot about you, because I didn't. But what are you really focusing on? So car insurance, home insurance, life insurance. Each campaign has to only have one. Okay, because if you're throwing too many messages out there to people, they're not going to get it all. So car insurance, home insurance, life insurance, commercial insurance, business insurance, you're selling bonds, stocks, mutual funds. It just needs to all be specific. Now, one disclaimer I am going to put in here is, if you are one of our financial guys on the line, don't forget you have the FINRA and SEC regulations. Always keep that in mind. And really what I teach here, it may or may not go with those regulations. So I just want you to keep in mind you are responsible for all your marketing stuff, and just run it past your broker-dealer firm. All right, so each marketing campaign has to have one focus. So for this example, what I'm going to really do, and you'll see this as I go throughout all my process for a marketing campaign, I'm going to pick car insurance for several reasons. One, most people use it as a lead line. And most companies, you really should use it as a lead line, but maybe, I don't want to tell you, every company's different. But we're going to use car insurance as the example, really. So that's going to be our one focus. Okay, so everybody get that point, that you need to have one focus. And now, why is your one thing better than the rest? So why is my car insurance better than all the other companies? Okay, that's a question you need to ask yourself. And if you don't have an answer to that, you need to find one. And I guarantee, I don't care what company you're with. I'm not going to go through them all. Whatever company you're with, there is a reason why your one thing is better than the rest. Now, maybe your company's car insurance rates are horrible right now, or whatever you want to plug is not good right now. That's why you want to plug it and get better at it. So here's what I want you to do. If that is the case, if you literally go through this and you cannot think of one reason that yours is better than anybody else's, why does your agency, why does your business make that one thing better than anybody else's? You see what I'm saying? Why do you do it better? Okay, so yeah, our price might be higher. We might not be able to equal the same amount of coverage, but why do we still do it better? Why is our agency, why is our business better to do, business with for this one thing than the rest? So you got to think about that, okay? And then when you have that prospect, either when you have them in front of you on the phone, or even when our first communications go out, somehow we want to show them in a way what the process looks like when they purchase from us, or even just do business with us. Why, this is your opportunity to show them why you are different, because not a lot of people are doing this. Make sense? So if you're showing them what it looks like because think about this, guys. If you are, let's say, shopping for a new car, okay? Obviously, you want to test drive the thing first. Okay, now a 15-minute test drive is awesome. Okay, I could go to a lot of dealerships and get a 15-minute test drive. But what if I went to a dealership and they say, here's the keys. I want you to drive this for the next 24 hours. Some do this. Some companies do this. I think Nissan's running a promotion right now where at the time I'm recording this, it's a 24-hour test drive. And that's brilliant. Which one is going to be better as far as maybe not the better car, but you know what you're getting. Okay, so when you can show a prospect that they know what they're getting in a much more comprehensive fashion than your competitors, you're a step ahead. You just got to make sure your process looks good, obviously. So if you can show them what the whole process looks like, how you do business, okay, that's going to give them a much, much better sense of what your agency is about. And maybe it's not even the buying process, but maybe it's these other things. My agency, we always do annual reviews, maybe some giveaways that you guys do. Maybe you have an annual event, fundraisers, things like that. What you want to show them is when you do business with us, you are going to get this, because this is what we do for every single one of our customers, and we want you to be part of that experience. So that's very, very important, is showing them what it's like to be a customer before they're even a customer. Because the more you can get somebody to feel comfortable and know what they're getting and do business with you, the more likely they are to A, do business with you, and B, refer people over to your agency. Does that make sense, guys? All right, great stuff, right? This is good. I hope you got a lot of notes going, and I want you to keep reviewing this. So let's go to the who you want to focus on. Okay, because each campaign, you're going to need to have a separate target prospect. Okay, so that kind of goes back to the graphic info, is who that target prospect is going to be. Is it going to be that person that has the middle income? They're a hunter. They got 2 teenage kids. As narrow as you can get that funnel down, that's your target prospect. Which hopefully, obviously not right this second, but if you go back through your notes, you're going to be able to find who that target prospect is that you need to focus on. Okay, and once you know who that target prospect is, what's the best way to reach that consumer? Let's go back to when we were talking about the older versus the newer generation. I know I am, and I am guilty of it. I will admit I am guilty of it. I need to be better about it, but I am on my smartphone way, way, way too much in a day. I'm doing my emails, checking the news, checking Facebook, let's be honest. So for me, I'm part of that younger generation that is always online. So if your target prospect is me, then online's going to be the way to go. That's the best way to reach me. And if it's not, if you're somebody out there that's trying to sell 401k rollovers, or if you are looking for retirement planning at late stages of retirement, well, then online's not going to probably be the way to go. You're going to want more of a direct mail approach or a phone call approach or something of that nature. So, truly think about the best way to reach your target prospect. Now we're going to go a little deeper into this in different sections. There is best ways to reach that consumer, but there's also different ways that so just because somebody's 28 years old, married, and has 2 young kids and is online all the time doesn't mean direct mail won't work. So I don't want to say that. And also just because somebody is 60, 65 years old, I don't want to say online won't work. But just in general, what's the best way to reach that customer? So I want to think about that. And then also, besides the best way to reach them, where are they hanging out? And I don't mean like, what restaurants and bars, but I mean, clustering. Are they hanging out, if they are online, are they hanging out on certain websites? Are they hanging out on certain Facebook groups? Are they participating in certain events? One big success that's been out there, and feel free to use and steal this, is how popular have 5Ks come? Think about that for a second. All right, so if 5Ks in the past, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years maybe, have become so popular. They have so many different variations of them. So when I was selling life insurance, what not a better idea to go sponsor a 5K or get around a 5K? For so many reasons. One, you got the right age group. B, they're probably healthy. I know I said one and B. So that's what you want to look at. That's what I mean by where are they hanging out. What kind of community are they a part of? Okay, and this is where you can go into a little bit of ethnicity, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's great, actually, because those are really strong bonded communities. Sexual orientation, if that's something that you want to really market to, what kind of community? And you can go a little bit less extreme, I guess. What kind of community are you into? Maybe they're into, I don't know, recreational sports. Maybe, and these things seem silly, but really think about it. And you don't have to like scratch your head too hard. If you're watching a slow pitch softball game on a Thursday night, what do they call it? Beer leagues, and you're watching that slow pitch softball game, what are the people you're seeing? Right? You are seeing families. You're seeing young families, which is generally a lot of prospects that are well qualified for the type of insurance you want. So that's the point, is what kind of community are they a part of? And then who or what influences them? Okay, who do they look up to? Who do they listen to? If I'm going to reach, if we're talking 10 years ago, and I wanted to reach middle-aged females for whatever reason, who or what would influence them at that time? Oprah, right? Oprah was a huge influence. Anything Oprah did, said, or told them to do or say, they did. In today's day of age, depending on the target, if you're looking oddly enough, and you got to think about this, if you're looking at young business owners or even middle-aged business owner, who's their influence, right? Warren Buffett might be. Or what influences people? Shark Tank, when you're looking at business owner. That's just an example. So that's what I want you to think about a little bit. You can flip the TV around. Think about a show like Duck Dynasty. Okay, I know this is silly, but think about that show. Does that make sense? So Duck Dynasty is just it seems they have a cult following that just is latching onto them. So think who or what influences that community, okay, and that prospect. All right, so I want you to write this down. So let's recap a little bit here. Well, let's real quick. Who do you know that's part of their community? We just went through some of those things. And make sure you're not. You might not know it, but make sure you're not part of it. I mean, what if, who do you volunteer? Do you lead something? Do you really participate in a lot? Maybe you're somebody that can influence the community and you don't even know that you're an influencer. Know that. And once you know who influences the community, especially in a local, it doesn't have to be local, but it helps to be local. You can start networking a little bit and then extend that reach. Because once you can connect to somebody who has influence and get them to start promoting you and helping you out, you have hit a new level. So that's what I want you guys to really focus on is being part of the community. Okay, so I don't want to recap everything because we're not going to do that. But what I do want to do is make sure, the whole point of this is I'm hoping you have a ton of notes right now. And if you don't have a ton of notes, you really want to go back, write this down, and do a ton of notes. And you want to write in all the different parts of what we're talking about here, because at the end of this, you're going to take all your answers, and that's what's going to help us create our marketing campaign. Okay? So last thing here we want to talk about is connecting the what and the who. Okay, and that obviously is a huge part of what goes into creation of that marketing campaign. Real quick though, I want to, if you haven't taken notes or haven't been sure of what to take notes, here's one thing I definitely want you to take notes on. Here are some specific things, and you're going to hear me say that word specific about 10 times in the next probably minute and a half, 2 minutes. Here's what goes into the creation of a marketing campaign. A marketing campaign is, just as it says here, it's a specific strategy with a beginning and an end time. Okay, so every campaign, I'm not saying you can't rerun it over and over again, but you can't just say this is an ongoing campaign. All right, you have to at least do a beginning and an end. I'm going to tell you in a minute why that's important, but the marketing campaign has to have a specific strategy with a beginning and an end. All right, you got that? And a specified focus, which is what we talked about a little bit already, is what are you selling to the consumer? What is the one thing that you are going after? Is it car insurance, home insurance, life insurance, investments? So a marketing campaign has a beginning and an end time and a specified focus, okay, that is being sold to a consumer. One thing, so to speak, that is being sold to a consumer. Make sense? And last but not least, and I hope the page didn't cut it off, and a specified medium in which the message is conveyed. So each campaign is going to have a specific way of communicating, right? And that can be direct mail, email, phone calls, what I call hard copy type advertising, which is newspapers, billboards, word of mouth, networking. Those can all be parts of a marketing campaign. Now, one thing I do want to say is you can mix and match these. A lot of my marketing campaigns will actually have all three that you show here, mail, email, and phone call, because I have a sequence of events, which we'll talk about. But you just want to know what they are. It's okay to have more than one or multiple types of mediums you're going to get your message across to. You just want to know exactly what they are. You got that? All right, great. And so let me go back to the reason I say I really encourage you to have all, not even encourage you, you need to have all of these in a marketing campaign, because the whole point of everything, how we're going to change your mindset of marketing, is you need to know where your money's going, what's being effective, and what the results are. So if we have a beginning and an end time, a specified focus, and a specified medium, all those things wrapped up in our marketing campaign is going to give us trackability. Sorry, it's not a word, so if you look it up, it's not in there, but I created it. Trackability just means that we are able to see what our results are giving us, okay? Because I don't care what you're doing, every marketing campaign needs tracking of some sort. And it can be a simple Excel sheet. I'm not talking anything crazy. But you need to know how, if let's take direct mail, for instance. You need to know if you sent 1,000 mail pieces out, how many people called back from that? How many pieces of mail got returned? And how many people were called on the follow-up process, which we'll go through all that stuff. But that's why you need all those different components in a marketing campaign, is for trackability purposes. Okay. So the next thing you need in the trackability portion is you need to have it reviewed at certain checkpoints, whether that's weekly, monthly, per quarter, depending on what, the length and duration that beginning and end time is of your campaign. It might even be semi-annually, depending on what kind of campaign. If it's a campaign that's going to take a while to cultivate, if you have somebody that's more, if you're looking at the financial retirement end, that's going to take a little longer to cultivate than a car insurance campaign. So whatever your campaign length is, when we go over the beginning and end times, we want to set certain checkpoints, certain review points. And you want to check those, review them, and needs to really go through those measurements that we looked at, like I said, if it's a mail, email, phone calls, because we need to know exactly what our numbers are producing. And then a huge part of this is you need to meet with your staff periodically. You need to get their feedback. You need to get what's working, what's not working, and they need to tell you. They just need to be honest. I think the biggest hesitation with staff is if you lay a list in front of a salesman and you say, here's people you should be able to try to sell, and that salesman's, they go through and they just don't get the results they want. Okay, whether it's not getting a hold, maybe that prospect for some reason is just not really into the message that the salesman's trying to portray. The pride in us salesmen says, well, I can't really tell them that. I got to think of excuses. You need to be okay with your sales guy. You need to tell them this too. Your sales guy or girl, you need to be okay with them coming to you and saying, you know what, I just couldn't get any sales off of this. Do you want to review the calls to make sure they're doing the best they can? Yes. But, you got to really look at, is my marketing campaign on the right track? And that's what's the beauty about if you get one solid beginning to end on one of these marketing campaigns, you can tweak it so easy. But you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with your sales producer coming to you and saying, it just didn't work out. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And then the biggest thing you have to remember about all trackability, and you wouldn't think I need to say it, but we got to always keep this in mind. No matter how good our campaign is, results rule. I don't care what it is, period. Results rule. If it's working, keep doing it. Even if you think it's dumb, keep doing it. Because obviously if it's working, you don't want to stop. If it's not working, but you think it's the greatest thing you've ever thought of, you got to change it or cut it. It's that simple. I'll never forget, I had what I thought was one of the most brilliant ideas in marketing history. I did. When I was first starting out, I just thought it was brilliant. Let me share it with you guys. So this is not really something I want to plan, but I just want to show you what kind of failure can happen. So I was trying to get life insurance sales, and I had a list of I don't remember. I think it's like 500 prospects that were mixed between people already in my book of business and other ones, and it was all females, because life insurance tends to resonate with females. And they were all in the right age group, that were young. They, probably be healthy. They have families, husbands, blah, blah, blah. And so I had all these prospects, and I was doing a direct mail campaign because I have a lot of, I'm really, I don't want to say but my team is really good at direct mail processes. So what we ended up doing, I put this, I called it the quarter letter. And so I went and I got 500 quarters. Anybody doing the math on that? And I'm doing it right now. It was about $125 for quarters. And then the postage, of course, because it was actually a pretty heavy piece, was like $2. So anyway, we spent, I think it was $500 doing this campaign. And I attached a quarter to every letter. Right? And I'm thinking, that's brilliant. I'm giving them, it's eye-catching. I'm giving them, the whole 25 cents nobody gets excited about. And I knew that going into it, but it was different. Okay? So 500 pieces got sent out. Not a single call. Not a single call came back. Not one person, not even an interest. Not even an interest. So I lost all my quarters. I lost all that money I spent in postage. And I lost a lot of my pride. And that was an example to me. In my case, I cut it completely. I didn't even try to change anything because it was so bad. But I don't care how good you are at this marketing thing or how long you've been doing it, you're going to have failures. And that was mine. So that was a great example of the results rule principle that I always had. I always kept in mind, because there was no results, and the results do rule. And when they're not there, you cut it. So I cut it. So that was my infamous quarter letter that I will hopefully never have to talk about again, but I'm sure I will. All right, so now you should, after all your notes, and you go back through this and actually, write down all the specifics to your agency and your business, you should now have your target. All right. If you don't, you need to listen to this again before you move on, and you should have your target. And that's what, I didn't put the slide up, but that's what you're doing next. Okay. So you are going to go through this again, and hopefully you've been doing it because you will save yourself some time. But hopefully you're going to be going through this and really defining your targets. And if you feel really ambitious, go through different targets for your different prospects now too, because that's just going to kind of help you. But I want to at least focus on just getting one campaign done. So, whatever your lead line is that you want to sell right now, home insurance, auto insurance, life insurance, investments, business, whatever it is, I want you to start with that. Okay. And who's your target for that? All right, guys. So that's what's next. And then the next thing I want you to do is once you do that and you got your target, you're going to watch the next training on mining out quotes. And what I mean by that is really your prospect list and who you're going after. And that's going to be a combination of new prospects, new quotes, existing clients even. I'm going to show you that. Because really the marketing campaign, now that you have your target, you can't really do much until you have names to target and people to target. So that's our next spot, is we are going to look at training on mining quotes. And then once we go ahead and do that, we're going to start creating your marketing campaign. I'm going to guess a lot of you have done that in the past, but we're going to really take it to the next level. All right, you're going to have a marketing campaign that's going to last you for years. You're going to be able to save and change. You're going to be able to tweak, and it's just going to work, and it's going to be awesome, and you're going to feel so in control after all this is done that you're going to be wondering why the heck you did it before. And remember, the whole point to this is I don't want you guys, right now we're coming to the depending on when you're listening to this, I'm coming to the end of the year, but your goal is I don't want you to buy leads anymore. And so if you're listening to this and it's towards the end of a year, end of a quarter, end of a month, I want your next month, your next quarter, your next year, your goal to be not to buy any leads, not to buy internet leads. I don't want you buying leads. Now, I'm not saying databases. I'm not saying your databases are bad. Your Sales Genie, Cole, Salesforce, those are good. Databases I'm a fan of, but I am not a fan of buying leads. So I don't want you to buy leads anymore. We're gonna do this. We're gonna show you a marketing campaign. It's exciting. I'm excited to do it with you. You should be excited because it's gonna change your business, gonna change your life forever. Because the whole goal of everything that I want you guys to succeed in is to make an automated process that you don't have to worry about. And I know you can do it. So go ahead and get your homework going on the targeting of your client and your prospect. And then what we'll do is see each other on the mining quotes portion. And don't forget, if you ever need anything from us, you can always just email joe@imwithdavis.com. And we'll be really excited. So thanks so much, and I appreciate you joining us, and look forward to talking to you later. Bye.